G'day, AJ Mahari here. On the topic of borderline personality disorder, and if you know somebody or have somebody with that in your life, and not all people with BPD are the same, but what are you believing in? What are you focused on? And where's your energy going? What do I mean by that? Well, if, as the shirt says, coincidentally, because I actually thought this before I put the shirt on, but the basic doesn't matter about the shirt. But if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. So what could that possibly mean? I just, had the thought and then realized I got the shirt, so put the two together. But what could that possibly mean in terms of a video for exes of those with borderline personality, or people that have somebody with borderline personality in your life where you're not sure, or maybe you do, or you just met somebody, and it could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be an adult child, it could be a significant other, it could be girlfriend, boyfriend, it could be any relation type, coworker, you name it. If you don't believe something, you'll fall for anything. So if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. If you don't believe something, you'll fall for anything. So what I'm here to talk about in this video is that this is what's happening to people. Not your fault, but this is what's happening to so many people, even grappling after some of these relationships, trying to find, well, there isn't really closure, but trying to find some modicum of closure, trying to decide if you should leave or not leave, trying to decide if that BPD friend or that BPD parent or that BPD girlfriend or boyfriend, if it, should you really be no contact, you need to be no contact. Well, if you don't believe in something, you're going to fall for everything. What do I mean? You need to believe in you. This is something that so many people that end up having a lot of heartache and a lot of issues and difficulty getting to no contact, difficulty dealing with people with BPD in their lives, in all various relationship types, everything you can imagine, anything you're going through, right? You know what you're going through more than I do. So if you are not believing or standing for something, you're falling for everything. Well, believe and stand for yourself. And for a lot of people, that might seem impossible or really difficult. Why? Because you're going to believe in yourself, maybe without really believing in yourself, but you're going to start a journey and a process to truly know yourself better, to be able to really wholly believe in yourself or stand for yourself, so that you won't fall for anything. And of course, the big falling for anything when not believing in something or standing for something is being manipulated, being held hostage, being psychologically and or spiritually, emotionally held prisoner by somebody with borderline personality disorder in your life. And I'm not here to say that everybody with BPD is the same, and I'm not here to say BPD is the way psychiatry defines it. And a certain percentage of those diagnosed with BPD, perhaps it really is more of a CPTSD issue. But even with that, I'm not comparing CPTSD to BPD, but there are some overlaps in terms of impulsivity, depending where people are with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. There's overlaps in impulsivity, like I said, emotion dysregulation, flashbacks, dissociation. So there's some commonality there with what people with, quote, BPD are going through. But it's not exactly the same. We have to be careful, because I'm still working on something where I'm going to try to explain this in a way that's, I think, the word fair wouldn't fit here, reasonable for both. Because I don't think you can just slide CPTSD as a full replacement for BPD, especially in all cases. So there's like that 10 to 15% of people where they're more severely affected don't get treatment, don't get help. But anyway, the main message in this video is about how can you, wherever you are right now, if you've just been left with someone with BPD, if you have someone with BPD in your life, if it's a parent, a sibling, whoever it is, and you are having difficulty finding your own boundaries because you haven't been strong enough for reasons. This is not a judgment statement. I say this with empathy. Something in you wasn't strong enough. It's not your fault what happened though. Or if it's a familial, borderline in your family of origin or something, then it's, what can you do? But the point is, it's not anybody's fault. But what are so many people, along with a plethora of things, why do so many people have so much cognitive dissonance and difficulty in moving away from a person with BPD, even in starting to set the boundaries that you need to believe in for you, right? Believe in something or you'll fall for anything. Believe in your boundaries. Believe in yourself. Even just starting to believe in yourself if you truly don't know yourself well enough to believe in yourself, because perhaps you've come from a dysfunctional family of origin. The point is, here's one of the things that keeps people hooked in, no matter what stage or phase they're at of going no contact or lowering contact or all these different things with somebody with BPD in your life or in people's lives, is what, I'm going to go back and repeat this once more. What are you believing in that you'll fall? What are you not believing in that you'll fall for anything? Or what are you not standing for that you'll fall for anything? When you're not believing in yourself and you're not believing in your truth and you're not believing in the what is the truth and the reality of the person in front of you or the person that you've been relating to has BPD or has so many issues that the relating is chaotic, dramatic, hurtful. There isn't mutuality and reciprocity with any feelings, whether they be friendship, affection in friendship, emotional presence in friendship, listening and sharing and mutuality, or whether it be attachment at all in all these different relationship types, or romantic love, or love just between human beings, which isn't always romantic love. If you're believing that's what that person with BPD who's behaving in all these ways that are causing you all kinds of, issues and problems and hurt and heartache, if you don't believe in what's really happening, then you're falling for everything. And when I say you're falling for everything, it's because you are relating to them as if they are like you, meaning if you're emotionally available, if you're a giving person, I'm trying to stay away from labels here, or if your person tends to give a little too much, or care a little too much for others, and maybe you're not standing enough or believing enough for yourself, and so you're falling for their everything. And what more specifically am I talking about here? A big thing that blocks people's needed change around somebody with BPD in their life, which often means end of relationships, all different relationship types, often means no contact, is simply that, not simply, but people are believing in a person with BPD's potential to be that person that you've seen flashes of, to be the person that you met, that you had the honeymoon phase with, until they devalued you. And then maybe the splitting was devaluing, back to idealizing, back to devaluing for a time or over time. And then, and especially in family of origin, probably splitting has happened so many times with a relative or whomever in your life with BPD, or even friendship, and yes, relationships, partner relationships too, that it's to the point where devaluation, or idealization again, really isn't, they're not getting there anymore because it's just all one great big devaluation, or pretty much seems like it's mostly negative now. And that positive that was there before in the honeymoon phase, before the first evaluation, they can't get back there. You can't get back there. You can't achieve that okayness that you once felt, or if you're the adult child of a borderline parent or a borderline narcissist parent, you're looking for something that you essentially never had, but that you might have believed as a young child was there. That if you just worked hard enough for it, somehow your mother or father or both would turn around and finally give you, see you and hear you. So people that are relating to people with untreated borderline personality are definitely not being seen very often, only in idealization. Well, not even in idealization. You're not being seen talking, you're not being heard, your feelings aren't being taken into account. People with BPD, until they get a lot of treatment, get down the road with that, which people can't hang around and wait for. So this big block to your recovery, to the change you need, to protecting your emotional, spiritual, psychological, physiological, your physical health, is that you need to believe in something, and you fall for anything. So stop falling for the everything and anything of what you think this person has the potential to be, or who they were in the honeymoon phase. This idea of being in love with somebody's potential, that's what it ends up being in a lot of these relationships. Or parents with an adult child with BPD and a 25%, the potential of this adult child to hopefully get therapy right one day and hopefully change and hopefully stop being the way they are with them and cutting them out of their grandchildren's lives and what have you, or a sister or a cousin or a brother or whatever the case may be in those other types of relationships, or a friend. You're believing, you have false hope, and you're believing in their potential to change, in their potential to grow, to heal, to want what they've never wanted for all these years up to now, which is help and therapy. So if you're believing in that, you're falling for everything, so to speak. And you are the one who's self-sacrificing you and forgetting about you, because you're not seen or heard by them. So I'm very passionate about this message, and I hope people can really take this in, because, even if even if you are no contact, even if you're further down the road, even if you understand so much about borderline personality, that can be up here. So then the challenge is, how do you get all of that knowing up here in an intellectual way to filter into your emotions, in your emotional landscape of self, and what that really means for you? It's very painful for people who are now essentially, or have been recently, or maybe a time ago, not realizing this, of course, that you have been in a false hope place of loving somebody with BPD, but more to the point, loving who you thought they were, loving who they were when they were idealizing you, loving you with who they showed you to be in the honeymoon phase. So you're really in love with the potential, because there's a kernel of that, there's a piece of that person that you saw that was wonderful. Yes, there's a piece of that person in most people with BPD, each one of them. But now what you've been doing is investing what is essentially false hope into the belief that they're going to manifest that potential to really become who you always hoped they would be, who you're still waiting for them to become. And in the meantime, you're not believing in the something, in the someone that's important, so you're falling for everything. And basically then, these dyads or dynamics of power and control and back and forth and push and pull, and overreactivity becomes everybody's, not just the person with BPD. It becomes people around them. It becomes people in relationship, any relationship type to them. So many people, without realizing it, are relating to, loving, hoping, staying with, staying blocked, sacrificing self to this belief and false hope that this person with BPD, whoever that is in your life, is going to find a way to actualize and to realize and actualize their potential for who they really are, for who they really could be. But there's so much in the way of that authentic being coming to fruition and actualizing their actual potential, because people with BPD aren't without intelligence and creativity and lots of skills and talents, and some of them manage to get some of those, bring some of that to fruition of their potential. But their potential as a whole human being, to be consistent with empathy, to be consistent with compassion, to be consistent with being, learn how to be, and then be consistent with being open and vulnerable and emotionally available to loved ones and friends, and all of this richness of life. So basically, I'll just wrap up here again by saying, biggest obstacle and biggest part of the heartache that people can't put into words, that these words aren't gonna assuage or help an entire heartache, or your confusion, or the fog that you may still be in, or the feelings that you may have of, if you take care of you, well, how bad a person does that make you? Which, logically, that doesn't make any sense, does it? It's about emotional feelings. So again, if you're not believing in, and I'll just make it clear here, if you're not believing in yourself, you're going to fall for somebody or a lot of people's anything and everything else. And so the key block, one of the key blocks, there are more, and I have more coming on this, and I have these courses that I'm trying to get done. One day they'll actually be done. But the key big block for people is, without realizing it, they are investing with false hope, a lot of energy, a lot of self-sacrifice to their own detriment, psychologically, spiritually, physiologically, and their own health, in the potential of a person with borderline personality who is not wanting any help right now, not in therapy, perhaps substance addicted, eating disorders, other issues that layer around or with, but on top of, all of those other things have to be dealt with before a person can really be helped in the process of BPD recovery, if they're even interested in getting help. And so many aren't, certain percentage aren't. So that's what you have to look at. And that's what I'm always talking about in other videos, about radically accept who the person with BPD in your life is right now. And more to the point, radically accept who that person with BPD in your life isn't right now. They have flashes of being who they could be. They have flashes of who they were meant to be. But that's all been interrupted by whatever happened in their childhood. That's all been interrupted by arrested emotional development that leaves people, unless they seek a lot of treatment and or just keep plowing down that road to recovery and get there, it leaves people with BPD in an emotional, childlike, dissociated reality with their emotions and the way that they relate to those closest to them. And that's attachment difficulties and abandonment fears. And attachment is something I'm going to be talking much more about as well, because it is such a huge part of this. So the way that psychiatry defines borderline personality is a waste of time, because it's the issues underlying there that are adaptation responses that now need to be unlearned. But if people won't go and get help, or people won't admit that they're struggling with something, or that they might have a lot of issues and problems in their life, challenges relationally, etc., then what are you believing in? If you're not believing in something, you're falling for everything. Are you falling for the sacrifice of yourself, staying stuck either after they left you or wherever you are, or if you're still in a relationship, or you're trying to hang on, or you're in this place called hope, which really, if they're not getting any treatment, it's false hope. This is what you have to radically accept for you, because you need, and what the shirt says and what I'm going on here, but I had the idea too, it doesn't matter, is that you need to believe in you first and foremostly, and that is not a narcissistic thing to do. You need to believe in you. So many people that have somebody with BPD, especially a parent, a loved one, anywhere in the vicinity of their lives, or who's been in their life over time, people lose themselves to that. So some people didn't even really know themselves well. But now other people have really lost themselves. And you might find, I have a lot of clients saying to me, I did this, I said that, I did the other thing. That's not me. I don't know what happened. And they're not trying to get out of responsibility for what they did or said, but they're just shocked at how they've acted, because people lose themselves in these relationships, whether you're the mother of an adult child, or you're the adult child of a mother with, or it's a friend, or you're the favorite person. God help you. You have my empathy. Because that's a no-win place to be, as are all these relationship types with somebody with untreated BPD. And even when I look at that in a humanistic context, it still means this much for people. So what you need to do is believe in yourself and stop falling for everything else, and realize and radically accept that you are stuck in false hope, it's hurting you tremendously. It's not helping the person with BPD. And also, you can't change the trajectory of whether they're actually going to ever get help or realize or actualize any of what can be massive potential you see in each one of these, in the people, in a person with BPD in your life, because I see this massive potential in so many with BPD, massive potential in many people I work with BPD, and many of them will go on to realize and actualize their potential fully as authentically integrated human beings. But you can't know that about somebody right now who's not on that journey. And that's what needs to be radically accepted, so that you believe in you and don't fall for everything else. And remember, as I always like to add in my videos, and if it annoys you, that's okay, because maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. It's up to you. It's your personal responsibility to free yourself from false hope, from believing in their potential more than you're taking care of, and believing in yourself. I hope that was helpful or food for thought, and take care.